Hi there, Nintendo fans. It's Reggie, and you're listening to the Gradient Pixels podcast. My body is ready. The following was cut from our last podcast talking about Resident Evil 2. We just decided there was a whole lot of content here, and I wanted to split it up and make Shane his own Kingdom Hearts 3 review podcast. So, without further ado, here's Shane's thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Alright, well, I guess I'll go into Kingdom Hearts 3 finally. First of all, for those of you who don't know, I have a long-standing history with the Kingdom Hearts series. I've been playing it ever since I was 5 years old. My aunt, she bought it for my sister and I, along with the PlayStation 2. And I really loved Kingdom Hearts 1. I was terrible at that game for a really long time, and it took me forever to beat it. But I finally did. I think even after Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, sometime after that, I finally beat Kingdom Hearts 1 for the first time. So yeah, I loved Kingdom Hearts 1. I think I played Chain of Memories for a bit, but I never beat that one either. Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, and I loved that one. And eventually I just got obsessed with the entire series. I even sort of liked the spin-offs. Didn't love them. Nowadays I hate them. But I really enjoyed the series, and there was one point where, like, if you asked me to, like, tell you the entire Kingdom Hearts story, I could probably do it. And I used to, like, read up on wikis to, like, understand the story, and I knew, like, everything about the series. I remember my friend Tommy and I, actually, our friend Tommy and I, at lunch, we would talk about Kingdom Hearts, like, all the fucking time in high school, which is probably why everyone thought we were lame. but we would talk about that all the time, so shout out to Tommy. I miss those conversations, even though nowadays it would be a lot more of me shitting on the series. But the point is that I've been with the series for a really long time, and it's always been one of my favorites. Nowadays, I really only like 1 and 2. I like Chain of Memories for the story, but in terms of playing the games and the story, really just everything I like about Kingdom Hearts, I only really find it in the first 2. The gameplay is the best in the first 2, particularly the second one. I was actually replaying the first one recently, and I have to admit that game is a little bit wonky as an action game. It hasn't aged as well as the second one, whereas I think the second one is still a phenomenal title. First one can be a little awkward, but there's still certain things that I think the first one does better than the entire rest of the series, which we'll get into here. So anyway, I want to go into this telling everyone that I guess formerly was a gigantic fan of the series. Now I'm just a big fan of the series, but mainly I'm extremely critical and only like the first 2. And I think the side ones can suck a dick, because I think most of them are really bad games. They're very poorly designed as action games. So anyway, going into Kingdom Hearts 3, I used to be really excited for it. Whenever it first got announced, I was jizzing my pants. I was so excited about it. But as time went on and we had to wait longer and longer for it, my hype started to dwindle. It eventually became almost non-existent. And I started getting more frustrated with the gameplay I was seeing, because a lot of it didn't seem like it was going to live up to Kingdom Hearts 2. It seemed like it was going to have the same problems that the other games had that were made by the Osaka team, such as floaty gameplay, poor boss design, poor enemies, etc., etc. And I knew that I wasn't into the story. Like, I was sort of into the story after Kingdom Hearts 2, but once you got to Dream Drop Distance and they started introducing time travel, that was bad. That was something the story did not need, especially not something like Kingdom Hearts. And then after that, they started hinting at the fact that the plot of Kingdom Hearts 3 was going to be all the characters that died were going to come back. Literally everyone. And I really, really don't like that. I still hate that to this day that they went in that direction, because it's very poor, it's very weak, and I think it has no balls. I mean, even, I've been thinking about this a lot recently, but like Disney movies have more balls than Kingdom Hearts do. When Mufasa died, he died. That was it. It was over. Whenever Andy left for college, that was it. He left for college. They might not get to see Andy again. Kingdom Hearts can't have sad moments anymore, I guess. Anything that I liked that was like a sad moment in the series or emotional, it's completely negated now. And it's so lame. It like, that's why for me the series ends at 2. And I've been telling Nick this for a while. Whenever you go back and play those games, whenever you finish 2, you're going to be like, "Yep, it could have ended right there. That was the perfect ending. There didn't need to be anything else." And that's what happened, okay? That's what happened. That's what I'm going to say happened. Like, for one example, and I'm assuming the people that are listening to this kind of have a basic understanding of Kingdom Hearts, but basically, whenever you die, you...
oh god, we're going to get explaining into the lore.
So whenever you die, a Heartless forms and a Nobody forms, okay? So Sora's Nobody, his name was Roxas, and Kairi also has a Nobody, and her name was Naminé. I'm not going to get into the specifics of how those two were formed and everything. The point is that they have nobodies. In Kingdom Hearts 2, you get to experience Roxas's life for a little bit, and get to know him as a character right in the beginning. And then that gets taken away from him, and there's all this drama, and he's really pissed at Sora. But eventually he concedes and says, "Fine, you're the real me. I have to go back to you to make you into a full person." So that happens, and at the end of the game, Naminé and Roxas, despite the fact that they want to be real people like Sora and Kairi, they acknowledge that they are nobodies, and they have to go back to them eventually. So they say, "This sucks, but anytime Sora and Kairi are together, we can be together." And that was really sweet. That was a really cute moment, and I love that. And it's bittersweet, It's bittersweet, but I thought that was great. Now it doesn't matter, because in Kingdom Hearts 3, everyone gets to come back, so who the fuck cares? No, Roxas has to be his own person. I remember in Dream Drop Distance, like, "No, Roxas, you're your own person." Like, no, Sora, he's not. That's why the story was good. And there was this gamut of great characters, the organization in Kingdom Hearts 2. All these real, just a very colorful cast of characters that were really fun to watch. And all of them died over the course of Chain of Memories in Kingdom Hearts 2. And all of them got brought back for Kingdom Hearts 3. So anyway, I wanted to have this set up because I'm not even on to Kingdom Hearts 3 yet. I'm complaining about certain things. But the point is that I had a lot of problems going into this game. I thought I wasn't going to like it at all. And at the end of the day, I would say that I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3. It's a good game. I would give it like a 7 out of 10. But a lot of the things I thought I was going to have problems with, I still have problems with. Some things I thought I would have had problems with, I don't have problems with. Some things are just good that I didn't anticipate liking. And I would say, if I had to rank Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3, I would rank them Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 3. In terms of gameplay, it would, like, combat alone, Kingdom Hearts 2, 3, 1. But as complete packages, that's how I would rank them. 2, 1, 3. So anyway, let's just get into the game. I'll start with the pros, or maybe I'll do one pro, one con, whatever. Let's just go with the pros. I think it's easier. So the first thing you're going to notice about this game is how beautiful it is. I know a lot of people were concerned for many years about this game because some of the character models looked kind of janky, and the graphics weren't quite there yet, but I can assure everyone that the game looks phenomenal. I remember as a kid, I would watch the pre-rendered cutscenes in Kingdom Hearts and be like, wow, I wonder if the games will actually look like that one day. And this is pretty much the day that happened, where the games really do look like that. And the
Probably
game
look better, to be honest.
Yeah,
if you go back and look at those cutscenes.
it's funny. The character models for sure look better, even though Square was definitely ahead of their time with pre-rendered stuff. But yeah, the graphics look amazing, and it's funny because there are pre-rendered cutscenes in the game, but it's kind of hard to tell. Like, it takes me a second, and I can distinguish them just because the hair is a little bit different. But there are a few of those, but it's like, it's not like in the original games where it was like a huge difference. It was like, wow, this is a special treat. Now it's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's pre-rendered now. Okay, whatever. There's not really a difference because the graphics are so nice. Everything is so colorful. The characters look awesome. So I can't say enough about that, and especially how versatile the Unreal Engine is. I do have to give kudos to that because, like in some worlds, like the Frozen and the Tangled world, they did such a nice job of like actually recreating the look of the world and the characters, especially like the Frozen characters, where like when you see them on screen, it's like it's literally just looks like the movie, and it's pretty crazy how well they were able to do that and model the characters and everything. Very impressive there. And you go to the Pirates world, and that has a very realistic art style, which somehow works a lot better than it did in Kingdom Hearts 2. There is a Winnie the Pooh section, which is kind of sort of cel-shaded, which looks really cool. And I think there's like one other one, but I can't remember which one I would be thinking of.
Big Hero 6?
No, I'm trying to think of one that had a different art style. Maybe Hercules World, because that was really the only traditionally animated Disney movie. That one looks really nice as well. So yeah, all the worlds look really nice graphically. The cutscenes look pretty nice. Character models look amazing. It was always fun to just look at the screen and watch what was going on, even if I didn't care about the story or whatever. It was a very, very pretty game, and that definitely bumps it up a few points.
I think that's definitely a huge accomplishment, especially when, like you're saying, they switch art styles a lot. Like it's hard enough to nail one art style for a game, and to hear that like each world pretty much has its own unique one. That's really cool.
I wouldn't say like each world. It's just that there are like a few instances where it's like a pretty big switch, and they do a nice job with it. It is nice in the Pirates world how Sora, Donald, and Goofy actually have their own outfits this time that are pirate themed, not just like these weird belt buckle things all over the place. It looks a lot better. But and it also made me wish that we could have seen some of the older worlds, especially Halloween Town. I fucking love Halloween Town. They would have done some incredible things with this new engine. I bet they could have even achieved like maybe a stop motion look or something. Would have been incredible.
That'd be awesome.
And I'm pissed they didn't have that world in. They should have brought that one back over Pirates or Hercules. But it is what it is. I pressed buttons. There was nothing I could do about it.
Are there any? I don't know how spoilery this gets, but are there any worlds that like they didn't show in trailers?
I don't think so. No, they showed like everything.
Okay.
Basically.
That's a little disappointing.
Besides like some of the end worlds, I guess.
That's kind of what I assume. The ones that aren't Disney related, I'm guessing.
But even that isn't. I mean, one of them you've already seen. It's the Keyblade Graveyard, so everyone knows what that looks like. Then there's one that is unique to the game. But anyway, going on to the continuing on, one thing that super surprised me about this game, because I thought this was only going to be present on the upgraded consoles, is that the game has an uncapped frame rate even on base PS4, and I was a little bit worried about that because I thought it was going to be like really shitty. And they gave you the option to have like a stable frame rate at 30 if you wanted it, but I just left it on completely uncapped, and I thought it was a really fantastic experience. I don't know what the frame rate was, but it was like at least in the 40s to 50s most of the time, which is a lot better than 30. And it was consistent enough to the point where I never noticed any fluctuations really. That was an absolute treat, because going from the Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5 collection on PS4 and having everything play at like 60 FPS, I was a little worried going to 30 for this new game. I thought I was going to be kind of disappointed, but the frame rate is actually really, really nice, very consistent. I'm sure if you play on Xbox One X or PS4 Pro, you'll have like consistent 60 across the board, which is awesome. So that was a really big treat. It goes a long way. All action games should play at 60. Looking at you, Sekiro, you need to get better at that from. I love you guys, but fix your fucking frame rate. Doesn't have to be 60 necessarily, but you know, I don't want any screen tearing or anything.
Big burn to From Software in the middle of a Kingdom Hearts discussion.
Yeah, Bloodborne is a great game. Imagine how much better it would be if it was at a solid 60. Someday we'll see that on PS5. So the great performance was really awesome. I was not expecting that, and that was a big treat. So don't worry about switching it to stable mode, just keep it on the default setting. It's worth it. It plays at a nice frame rate, and the game looks pretty smooth. Going on to the next thing, I thought the game had really good enemy and boss design, both in terms of visuals and in terms of actual mechanics, which was a big surprise because Osaka is awful at that in almost every game they've made except for this one. I thought a lot of the Heartless designs and the boss designs were really cool visually. There was one that was like a wolf, and the stages is almost like lit up in moonlight, which kind of reminded me of like a From Software type deal. The boss fight was actually a little annoying, but it was a cool looking boss. And there was one Heartless that was like she looked like Little Bo Peep from Toy Story almost. It wasn't from the Toy Story world, but she had like a little umbrella, and it was like a female Heartless walking around, and I thought that was really cute. So I really like the designs, and especially with the game mechanic designs. In previous Osaka Team games, especially the bosses have had a tendency to not have telegraphed attacks, not have defined patterns, not have stagger, like you can't stagger them. Like if you're doing a human boss fight, they'll just break out of combos and instantly smack you back. Just atrocious battle design. It's embarrassing that those games got rated that high back when they came out, because they did not deserve it, and they still don't deserve it. A lot of people just don't figure that out, though, because they play on normal or beginner or whatever, and you can kind of just cheese through the game, not really finding many flaws with it. You go in the higher difficulties, or if you play a lot of action games like I do, the game is just awful. And it's sad, because Kingdom Hearts 2 was, I would say it's almost as good as Ninja Gaiden Black or Devil May Cry 3. I think it's a fantastic action game, and all the systems work so well with one another. But I don't want to turn this into a Kingdom Hearts 2 wank fest. So I just want to say that the game was fun to play, moment to moment in terms of battles. I did not feel many bosses, if any really, were cheap, or the enemies were cheap. It was fun. The bosses staggered. There was clear patterns. There was clear telegraphs. And that's all I'm asking for. Even though the combat itself is not as smooth, it's not as snappy, it's still floatier in Kingdom Hearts 2, it still has good design and fair design throughout the game. So I still had fun with the combat and fun with the bosses. Which is a very big difference, and that's why I would be happy to play Kingdom Hearts 3 again someday. Probably not, I don't know if it's going to be anytime soon, but I don't mind adding that to the list of Kingdom Hearts games I like to actually play. So, good job on that. And there's other things they fixed too, like a lot of the dodge mechanics in the other Osaka games had really bad lag at the end, like air dodge. You would dodge through the air and then just like stop and then fall, and it was really bad. This one, they cleaned that up, so it's a lot snappier. You get control of Sora again a lot quicker, and they fixed it. Just a little simple fixes go a long way, and they managed to do that really well. So good job, Osaka Team, on that. And they gave you a lot of movement options too. You can dodge roll, you can glide, you can air dodge, you can jump twice in the air. You can use slow motion. You can guard in the air, which is really cool. Especially going back to Kingdom Hearts 1, and you can't do half of that shit. Like, it gets very annoying. There would be so many times where it's like, man, I really wish I could just guard in the air right here, or do this or do that. So that stuff is really nice. I think, yeah. I still want to stick to the positives for now. Because there's some negatives about the combat that we'll get into later. The levels are very big, which is kind of cool. This is kind of a positive / negative, because while the levels are really big and that's kind of cool, they're also kind of empty, and it kind of just feels like Kingdom Hearts 2 again. Because in the old trailers, I remember getting really hyped, because one of the biggest issues with Kingdom Hearts 2 is that going from 1 to 2, the worlds feel very simple, and almost all the spaces are just kind of wide open. kind of flat ground stuff with a treasure chest here and there. And I understand kind of why they did that, because it works really well for combat. You know, you don't want to have a bunch of random shit all around the arena because it just gets annoying. There's a boss in Kingdom Hearts 3 that has shit like that. It's really annoying. But I do think Kingdom Hearts 2 had almost none of the good stuff that Kingdom Hearts 1 had, and there's still ways to design complex levels while still allowing for fun battle spaces. For proof of this, the Cavern of Remembrance in Kingdom Hearts 2 did this perfectly, and it was the only level that was at all similar to Kingdom Hearts 1's levels, where it had like little puzzles throughout the level, it had different layers to it, it had secrets to find, but it still had open areas where you could fight enemies. So shout out to Cavern of Remembrance. That was a great level. So anyway, I was kind of hoping that Kingdom Hearts 3's levels would be like that, and they are kind of big and open, but it really just feels like a big Kingdom Hearts 2 level without loading screens, which is a little disappointing. A lot of them are just kind of like, oh, you know, walk forward. Even though you're technically looping up a mountain, it's still just kind of walking forward. Here's a chest. Oh, there's not really too many alternate paths to go on. Not too many secrets or any puzzles you have to solve to get through the level. There's a few here and there, but it's still not like Kingdom Hearts 1, where there was a bunch of secrets to find, a bunch of reasons to return to the world. And even though those were like the smallest worlds in the series, I still think they're the most interesting, which is one of the reasons why I think that game still holds its own for its own reasons against the later entries. So that was a little bit disappointing. It's cool that the levels are big, but a lot of it felt a little unnecessary. Some of it felt kind of like padding, because a lot of the levels are just kind of like run forward, get the chests, oh, here's a mob battle, here's a boss, here's a mob battle, you know. And it's fun. It's just like...
I think it was...
there's just more of it.
It is cool that they don't have those loading screens anymore.
And there are still some that are like 10, 15 seconds, but there's not a ton of them.
But I mean, like, that was pretty much like every game had those, and this is like the first one that doesn't, so I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. It is really nice, but I wish that was a little bit better, because we're going to get to like the post-game content, and that's going to be one of the problems, where there's not really a reason to return to a lot of these worlds besides getting treasure chests you missed, or one optional collectible that's a Mickey symbol that you can take pictures of, which is kind of disappointing. The levels are okay. They're not great though, in my opinion. I guess technically they're better than Kingdom Hearts 2's, because they do have a bit more complexity to it, but at the same time, I still prefer Kingdom Hearts 2's levels because they were smaller, so there was less dicking around and less padding, even if they weren't as interesting to explore. So they were okay. Kind of a letdown though. The gummy ship is at its best in this game because you can ignore it basically completely. It's actually like open. It's like in Star Fox, how there was like the free range stuff. It's actually like that. It's almost like a slightly open world gummy ship, so you can just move the ship all around and then go in one direction to get to a world, and you can mark it right on your map. But for the people that do like the gummy ship stuff, you can still build your ships. There's still a bunch of side content for you to do. You can just go into a heartless battle, and it's just like Kingdom Hearts 2, where you're fighting the enemies wave after wave, like the old Star Fox games, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, if you want to skip it completely, you can just mark the objective on your map and then just press go. Let's go really fast. Boost, 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 boost. There, we're at the world. No more gummy stuff. And you don't have to upgrade anything at all. There's not a lot of dicking around with it. Whereas Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, it was all required. So that was really nice. I haven't really done any of the side content with that because I don't really like the gummy ship that much. But good job on that.
Yeah, that's fine. Nice that they included the option
to basically
for
just
people
skip
that
it all.
hate it or people that do like it.
And if I did like it, I think I would prefer the open world anyway, because it's fun just kind of driving the spaceship around or flying it around and finding a battle. Oh, and then there's like a little mission you can do. There was a nice voice crack there. But yeah, that was cool. And I already talked.
How are the environments in the space?
They're pretty
area?
nice.
Is it one big area or is it like a couple?
It's just one big area. They're pretty. It looks like space, I guess. So yeah, it looks nice. So now we're gonna get into more of the complaints that I had with the game. First of all, I would say the game is way too easy. I played on Proud right off the bat. That's the highest difficulty. There's no critical mode in this game. It's only Proud. There's nothing to unlock for critical mode, which is pretty disappointing because almost every game since Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix has had it. So it's weird that this game excluded it, and it almost feels like the game might be a little half-baked, a little rushed. That's going to be a trend going forward, talking about this game.
If I can interject real quick, unexcusable for Kingdom Hearts 3. That game has had so much time.
Well,
how can anything be rushed?
Nick, it's Tetsuya Nomura who once wanted to turn Final Fantasy 15 into a musical. After the game had been in development for 4 years, and then he got kicked off the project because he's a tard. Nomura he should not be directing video games. Okay, and Square Enix in general is terrible at time management. Like, I would not be surprised, even though the game shipped 5 million copies, I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't even broken even yet because of how much money they waste. I mean, like, seriously, like, Square just reported the other day they had, like, a huge income loss because they were spending so much time developing things, and even when it comes out, if it sells well, they spend so much money. Versus Final Fantasy 15. How long was that in development? Like almost 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
Or something.
It's the same thing is going to be with the 7 remake.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they canceled it. I mean, it's already with that game. They started developing it with Bandai Namco for like 2 years, and then they canceled it and restarted it entirely internally. And that game is still being directed by Nomura. That's the only director they have, I guess.
Yeah.
Because he's not that great of a director, really. Because I'll tell you another reason why he's not. If he were, he wouldn't have let the series degrade so much, the Kingdom Hearts series. It's obvious that the great combat in Kingdom Hearts 2 did not come from him. Because if that were true, he would not have let all that shit slide by for so many years. And, Nomura, give it to someone else. That's why they had to have Tabata come in and finish 15. I haven't played that game. I've heard everything about it being like just a mediocre game, and it looks mediocre, and everything I've heard about it looks mediocre, and it's mediocre. Okay, and I don't think Nomura's version would have been better. Okay, I watched some gameplay footage of his version again today, and it's like this game looks fucking dumb. Okay, it does not look good. It's whatever.
Just dumb.
It just looks dumb. It does not look a whole lot better than the finished release. So, yeah, Square needs to get their shit together on that. They need the next Capcom come to Jesus moment where they get their shit together and start making good stuff again. Because the only good thing they have right now is Dragon Quest, which not enough people play, at least outside Japan, and Kingdom Hearts, which does sell well, even if the games are shit sometimes.
Tomb Raider's been degrading.
And... Well, that's not the fault of the people making it, though.
Yeah. Because
the first Tomb Raider, the sales expectations were fucking ridiculous for that game, even though it sold really well. I've heard the second one launched on the same date as some really big game. I don't remember which game. Third game, they switched developers, which wasn't a good idea, and it launched on the release of another big game. Just other problems like that. They let go of the Hitman devs, which is a good thing, I guess.
And they have this fabled Avengers game that comes out like every year. It comes up that we've never seen anything on it yet.
Yeah, they announced Final Fantasy VII Remake in 2015. It's supposed to be episodic. First part's not even out yet.
I didn't even. Oh wait.
Yeah,
15.
Remember?
Yeah, 7, yeah.
Yeah, 7. It was supposed to be episodic. 3 fucking games to tell the story. If that's not milking it, I don't know what is. So there's that. There's the Avengers game that still is not out. We haven't seen anything on that game.
Nope.
So that's probably going to be bad. They did release The Quiet Man, which I heard was one of the worst games of the last year. So, yeah. You know what? Just fuck. Whatever. Yeah, man, what else was I going to say about Square? I don't know. They need to get their shit together, though. And Nomura needs to maybe not be the director anymore. Of fucking everything. If you want to have him direct Kingdom Hearts, fine. Get someone else to do the 7 remake. Get Capcom to do it. Why not? Yeah, so let's move on a bit. So yeah, the game was too easy. And yeah, actually, going back to DLC or whatever, or like not having critical mode, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, they'll add it in as DLC, and they're gonna add this in as DLC. Don't worry, guys, they're gonna add all this in, and it's like, we'll see about that. Even if they do, it still was not here at launch when it should have been.
To be fair, my mind went to they'll probably add that in DLC, but
we'll see.
We'll see. Because it seems like the kind of play that a lot of games have made in the past couple of years. It's like, oh, super hard, it's coming later. Yeah. It's not going to be there.
And if it's free, I guess it's not a big deal, but it's a little bit annoying. But anyway, I would say the game is way too easy, even on Proud. There was very few times in the game, there was very few times in the game where I felt like I had to really think about what I was doing, besides like the end of the game, which is a pretty bad difficulty spike.
Press triangle to win, just like KH2.
Well, KH2 was only press triangle to win on easier difficulties. On critical and level 1, you could not do that. And that's where the game becomes absolutely brilliant. And by the way, I remember old arguments online about like BBS and like Dream Drop Distance being better than Kingdom Hearts 2 because KH2 is press triangle to win. The only thing you do in those games is press triangle to spam Command Dex. So don't tell me that game was triangle to win when those games all you did was Command Dex because the physical combos were awful. But yeah, I mean, that's another thing. The physical combos are actually worth a damn in this game. Old Osaka games, no. They were worthless. Anyway, game is too easy. I hardly had to think at all. The game is still fun. I finished it in like 25 hours. Not really trying to speed through it or anything. But yeah, there was very few times where I really had to think about what I was doing because there's so many fallback options. It's like, oh no, I'm having trouble with this boss. Oh wait, here's an attraction command that I get for free. Scot-free. It doesn't drain your magic. It doesn't drain anyone else's magic in the party. You just get it and then you can spam it. Some of them, like the teacups, are really good. Pirate ship's pretty good. They're all pretty useful. They don't really require any skill either. They just kind of come out and you press X and pretty stuff happens and it does a shitload of damage, which is what I feared would happen, and it is a problem.
It's almost an extension of all the characters coming back. It seems like they have every mechanic from every game.
Well, we're gonna get to that.
They have like the shot
that
walks.
Was not a good thing because they had way too many mechanics that they didn't need. The attraction flow is kind of entertaining, but it is like really overpowered. You actually don't have iframes during it, but you do have increased defense, so it's pretty much the same thing. We had to take a short break. Getting back to attraction flow, it's not really that fun to use. Like it's pretty, but it's using it is just kind of pressing triangle and pressing X to watch the whatever ride you happen to be on do things, but it is useful.
It random, or is there a way to
random.
pick it?
Yeah, that's the other problem with half the things in the game in terms of like the triangle commands. It's like completely random as to how it's going to come up. The only thing that's consistent is like fire or like magic attacks. Like if you do like a bunch of fires in a row, then you'll get like a Firaga special finisher that you can use. That makes sense. But then there's like Donald and Goofy special attacks where it's just like, come on, Sora! And it's just random. And that's the other thing I was going to get into. They have some of those attacks, and they're really powerful. Donald has like a duck flare, which is like he shoots like fireworks up into the air. Goofy has one where like you fly up into the air with him and spin him around and throw him for like an area of effect attack. And once again, they have like no negative consequences to using them because it doesn't deplete anyone's magic. And half the time, like even if you don't have iframes, you still are somewhat protected because you have higher defense when that's going on. And there's just too much stuff like that where it's just like if you're having a hard time, just pop one of those because it'll inevitably come up. And sometimes you can do like almost 3 bars of damage to some bosses. It's crazy.
Do you think that is for like new or younger players that might be getting the game?
It's definitely an attraction for some people because like obviously a lot of people like Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance because they're more flashy games. Like you press a button and a command comes out and it looks pretty, whereas it's not really that interesting as a combat system. So yeah, it's definitely, some people just look at it. It's like, oh, it's pretty Disney, yeah, fun time, which I think is why most reviewers gave it like a 9 out of 10, because maybe that's what they're looking for. But it's kind of stupid. But the good news is, like I said, the combat itself is still fun. Like physical combos are still pretty fun. It does get a little boring because after a while it is kind of just like I'm mashing X to kill enemies and here's a magic spell here and there. But they did a nice job with that too, because the magic, you have plenty of magic. Like it's not like, I think some people were concerned in the demo that people played at E3 and some of the fans that got to play it, they were concerned about a few things regarding magic. Like I think, it's your toenail. I think one thing people were concerned about was in Kingdom Hearts 2, Cure uses up all your magic, so you have to wait for that to refill before you can use magic again, which is fine, but you can use Cure at any point in your magic bar's life. So even if you have like a sliver left, you can still use Cure. You can use the whole thing in one go with Cure, but I think in the demo, you literally had to have a complete full bar to use Cure. And if you used anything else before that, it was useless, but they fixed that for the main game, so it's just like Kingdom Hearts 2. And like I said, it doesn't feel like you can only spam like 2 fires and then that's it. Like you can have fun with the magic and do like a lot of different spells for a while before you run out, which is really nice. But yeah, and there's stuff like shot locks, which I honestly forgot they were in the game half the time. Whenever I used them, there was one that was pretty darn overpowered. So those are still useful. Like I said, it's one of those things where like they give you so many options where it's like anytime you feel stressed, it's like, oh wait, I still have a full focus bar. I can use shot locks, and then after that you get an attraction flow, and then Donald might come in and help you out or something. And also Donald and Goofy are a lot more useful this time because basically what they did, they just increased their defense and health a bunch to the point where they hardly ever die. And they can cure you and everything, so they're actually useful in this game. Back to Kingdom Hearts 1 for a second, I was playing that on Proud. They die in like one hit to everything, so they're always useless. So that's nice to have them around. And last but not least, I think the last thing I have to mention is the Keyblade transformations. There was one Keyblade I basically used the entire game because I felt like it wasn't gonna get any better. It's the Toy Story Keyblade, and the Keyblade transformation for that Keyblade is called Hyper Hammer, and that is like a slow Keyblade transformation with a big area of effect attacks. And on some of these big bosses, you can like stun lock them because like they're not supposed to stagger, but the attacks are so powerful that they literally just fall over, and you can just keep attacking them for a while, which is pretty crazy, and it's pretty fun to use. But like I said, you get the point. There's like there's too many things going on. There's also flow motion, which you can do attacks with that. It sucks dick in this game, so don't worry about that. It's mainly just for movement. Which is how it should be because it was way too overpowered in Dream Drop Distance. But yeah, I think there's way too many systems. A lot of them probably could have been cut, and a lot of them need to be rebalanced. I think if there is a Final Mix update someday, maybe that could fix it. But yeah, the game's too easy overall. You really don't have to think too much, and I can't even imagine on like playing it on like standard or beginner. That's just too easy. And there is like level 1. I haven't played level 1 Proud myself, but I've heard it's ass because they don't do it well like Kingdom Hearts 2 does it. It does it in the worst way possible where you're just doing chip damage the entire game.
That
and
sucks.
It's not fun, so I will not be partaking of that. The cool thing is that you can do level 1 on beginner and standard in this game, so I've heard some people are actually doing runs on those difficulties at level 1, and it actually makes the game harder than Proud mode is. But it makes it more fun because you do more damage. So that might be the key. If there is no critical mode that fixes it, maybe just do level 1 runs on a lower difficulty or something. That might be a possibility. But anyway, yeah, the game is too easy. The game is also half-baked in a lot of regards. The biggest and most notable example to me is the Winnie the Pooh world. And I was personally really excited for that world because I like Winnie the Pooh a lot. It's one of my favorite Disney movies or Disney franchises. And I always like the worlds in the Kingdom Hearts games. They're just kind of like chill out worlds where you do mini games and play with the characters and everything. I always have fun in the Winnie the Shit worlds, especially in Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 1, the mini games are kind of shitty and not that fun, but I still enjoy the world because it's just chill. It's just chill. But in this game, it's awful. Like, I don't even know why they put it in the game because it's like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
I heard it was only like one game, right?
Yeah, you go into the Winnie the Pooh world and you're at Rabbit's house, and he's like, we need to get some vegetables together for this thing or whatever. So you do a mini game with vegetables, which is really easy, and it's a stupid mini game. It's like you're sort of playing like one of those connect the dot things, like I guess like Candy Crush, where like
a match 3.
it's like match 3, where like there's one vegetable group that Rabbit wants every round, so it might be like fruits and vegetables. So it might be like blackberries that he wants. So you want to try to avoid grouping those together. And then you shoot like it's kind of hard to explain. There's like a board of vegetables and stuff, and then there's like a vegetable that you have to shoot out in a straight line, and you can choose whether to shoot like 2 of that vegetable or 3 or 4 or 5 in a straight or diagonal line. So what you're trying to do is group as many of them together as you can, so you can get them all. You can get like a big point bonus. But like, unless I'm doing it wrong, what I've found is the best thing to do is just if Rabbit wants blackberries, just find a column that doesn't really have any blackberries in it, and then just hold the button down, build it up to 5, and then just keep shooting 5 vegetables out. And then it just builds up the meter, and then Rabbit takes all the other, food that he needs, and you just keep doing that until it's over. And that seems to be the best strategy. There's not really any thinking involved in it. So that was kind of a crappy minigame. And then Rabbit's like, okay, I need you to come over here and do this for me. And the next minigame is basically the same minigame. It's just slightly different. I don't even remember how it was different, but it was slightly different. And then after that, he asks you to do another minigame for something else, and it's the same minigame again. And then after that, the world ends. And it's like 10 minutes long. It's like, what was going on here, guys? Like, in Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, and 2, the world takes at least, like, probably an hour to beat. And that's, like, over the course of the game, because you're collecting, like, torn pages. Then you return back to Traverse Town or Radiant Garden. And you can continue the story a bit. But there's a lot of fun mini-games, and there's always a continuing story, and areas to explore and treasure chests to find, and it's not here in this game. And it's like, I don't know why this world exists. Very disappointing, as someone who really likes Winnie the Pooh. So that was one example of half-baked content. Another example is that the post-game content feels really lacking. For example, you can get the Ultima weapon after you finish the game, but by the time you get the Ultima weapon, you have nothing to use it on. There's one secret boss, and that secret boss can be done in the 30 to 40 level range, which is when you beat the game. I haven't done the secret boss yet, but from what I've seen online, it doesn't seem super complex, so you probably won't struggle with it too much. After you beat that secret boss, there might be like a few little battle portals you can do, which are sort of like Coliseum matches. But other than that, the only thing you're doing is collecting treasure chests or collecting collectibles that you missed. And that's about it for post-game stuff, whereas in like Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix or even Kingdom Hearts 1, you had a bunch of secret bosses. Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix was ridiculous with bosses because you had Terra, who was a big super boss. You had all of 13 organization members as super bosses. You had Sephiroth, and probably a few other things I'm missing.
Is he in this game? I heard that there's no Final Fantasy characters.
And no Final Fantasy characters are in this game either, which is kind of disappointing. I personally never cared that much about it, but it is disappointing that we don't get to fight Sephiroth after it's been like a series tradition.
I heard it brought up in some video, but that planted the seed in my head. That was probably a Disney decision, I'm guessing,
It could be.
It seems like the video I was watching. I don't remember what outlet it was that I was watching, but they were talking about how Disney is like hyper protective of their stuff now,
Mm-hmm.
and if anything, that was probably like, no, we're not gonna have our characters fighting a big guy with a giant katana. No, like no.
Yeah, it could be that. I know Nomura has said, like, well, there's just not much of a reason for them anymore because there's so many Kingdom Hearts characters now, whereas at the beginning there was more of a need for that. But
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't care much about it, but it is something that's worth mentioning. That's one thing that people are like, oh, in DLC they'll put Final Fantasy characters in. It's like, no, they're not going to add NPCs in just to have them in DLC. Yeah, there's no Final Fantasy characters. There's no Colosseum in this game. There's, like I said, there's sort of little battle portals, but it's not really the same thing as the Colosseum, which has been a staple in almost all the games, really. And yeah, it's just, yeah, it feels lacking. Like, after you finish the game, it's just kind of like, okay, well, now what do I do?
So I have a question for you. Obviously, with Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, those games came out in a time where DLC was not common.
Mhm.
You would get like an expansion or a new game or something. Do you foresee them maybe putting extra development time and making a new world for DLC, or do you think that's out of the question? Do you think that this is a contained, finished game, and anything else that they add is not going to be that substantial?
I don't think it's going to be that substantial. I don't know how they would work a new world into it, but if it's not part of the story, although we'll get into that, because half the Disney worlds don't even tie to the story anyway. But I imagine they would add a Colosseum, maybe some super bosses and new Keyblades and stuff. I don't know, because Nomura has said that there is probably going to be DLC for the game, so I don't know what that means. I don't know if they cut content and they're going to put that as the DLC. But yeah, there's just a lot of things here and there that feel kind of half baked, and just kind of disappointing. Like, they could have done more with it. The final world that you go to, which I won't spoil, there is a battle theme, or not a battle theme, just a theme for the world, and it's like 6 minutes long, and it's not a loop. It's like a full theme for the world, and you hear it for like 5 seconds before it transitions to a boss fight. And I actually haven't listened to the theme yet. I've heard it's fucking gorgeous, but haven't listened to it yet. But the point is that people are making is that it may be likely that this was intended for a whole world, that you would listen to this going through the world, but instead it's like a boss fight, and then boss fight, and the game ends. And it feels really strange, especially because the world that you go to is a big deal. It was a big reveal, you know. So that might be cut too. Who knows? But I don't want to spend too long on that. I think we spent enough time. The point is that there's definitely a feeling of half-bakedness in the game. I wouldn't say it's an unfinished game or it's an unpolished game. It just feels like there should have been more here. Winnie the Pooh should have been way better than it was. Yeah, but I mean, there is other cool stuff. Like, there is little Mickey games that you can find that are like Game & Watch parodies. I only played one, but there's like 9 or 10 of them, so I do have to kudo them for that. That is cool, and they're fun. They're basically just mini games where you do the level over and over again, but they're fun. So good job on that. But yeah, if there is a final mix of this game, which I don't think they're going to release as a full game, more stuff to do after the game is over would be nice. But the problem with remixing bosses is that a lot of the bosses in the game that are humanoid, which are the best bosses in the series in any action game, a lot of them are Kingdom Hearts 2 bosses. So it's like, you already did all this in a game 13 years ago, so that's a problem. But I'll get into that in a bit. Next thing I would say is that there's too many gimmicks in the game. One of them, actually the biggest one, would be the Pirates world. So if anyone is excited for that world, I would not be excited for that world, because it does not play anything like Kingdom Hearts 3 is supposed to play. It plays, it's just gimmick after gimmick after gimmick. First thing you do in that world, you hop on a Heartless and ride it like a ship, and you shoot at a Heartless for like 10 minutes. It's like a boss fight, and all you do is trail behind it and hold R2 until you get carpal tunnel. And boss takes forever, and it's really boring. So there's that. There's a flying sequence. Then you're driving around the ship, which, once again, it controls like a ship, and you shoot cannons, and you're on the seas, driving around, which is kind of weird. Then you get to Port Royal, and then you have to collect 300 crabs to fix a ship, which just involves walking around the island, breaking things until you get crabs. And there was plenty of jokes in my mind while that mission was going on. That's like the only part in the entire world where you have just like walk around hack and slash gameplay. There's, maybe a few other battles that you have to do, but then there's more ship combat, a ship boss, more ship bosses, and then it pretty much ends. It's just like ship combat the entire time, which is really dumb, and it's really annoying because the ship is so big that half the time the sails get in the way and you can't see the enemy ships, and that leads to a lot of deaths, and it's very annoying and not that fun. The world does look pretty, though, so good on them for that. At least the world looks nice. There's another part in the Frozen world where you have to collect parts of Olaf, which isn't hard if you know what you're doing, but if you don't know what you're doing, there's a lot of aimless wandering around, and it's not that fun. The worst one is the Pirates world, though, for sure. And there's probably a few other gimmick things I'm missing, but I do want to be fair, because I know Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 did have a few gimmick parts, so I'll be fair and just leave it there. But the Pirates world was pretty disappointing, and it's pretty stupid. They should not have gone in that direction for sure. I would say that, the next thing I'm going to talk about is the story pacing. Okay, first of all, I wasn't into the story, the main overarching story in general, but the story of this game is so badly paced. They start off like, okay, this is what you need to do, Sora. You need to find the power of waking within you, because you couldn't do it before in Dream Drop Distance. And you need to save all these people, and you're going to go on a big journey, and okay. So it establishes what you're supposed to do. You're saving these people, Ventus, Aqua, Roxas, the whole gang. And you need to find the power of waking. Then, for 20 hours straight, all you do is Disney Fun Time. And then the last 5 hours is the entire story of the game. And then the game ends. Half the time, I would say in most of the Disney worlds, Sora, Donald, and Goofy don't even acknowledge what they're trying to do on their quest. And I forgot what they were trying to do at a few parts. Like, you just go to a Disney World, and half of them, like, especially Frozen and Tangled, are just the movies. Like, half of the scenes in those worlds are you just watching the movie in the game graphics.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, they don't do they barely have any sort of interaction with any of them.
Yeah, and Sora, Donald, and Goofy are there in some scenes, but it's like, have you seen Tangled?
Mm-mm.
Let me think of something. Okay, Frozen. You remember? Have you seen Frozen?
No. It's hard with Disney and me.
Whatever. You're not gonna care. Frozen. At the end of the movie, Anna gets frozen, and the power of true love is supposed to unfreeze her. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think, oh, it's gonna be that guy that was with Anna the entire game. That's her true love, Disney magic. But no, it's Elsa who gives her a hug, and she's like, oh, you need to come back. And then, oh, power of true love, sisterly love. She comes back. That scene is verbatim taken from the movie, and Sora, Donald, and Goofy are just there, like a mile away on the ice, just like, oh no, oh yeah, she did it. And half the time, the cutscene isn't even on them. It completely forgets they're there, and then it's just like one scene of them like acknowledging, like, yeah, these guys are there. They're part of the world too, and that's how it is. Like, I like Tangled. Frozen's fine, but it's like, I don't want to just watch the movie while I'm playing this game. It feels completely pointless. And like I said, none of them, never, do they ever just go to a world. The first thing they say is, hi, I'm Sora. This is Donald and Goofy. We're trying to find some friends that we lost, and I need to find the power of waking. They only do that in a few instances. They do it in the Colosseum, so Olympus Colosseum, because that's why they go to that world in the first place. They specifically ask Herc about, like, unlocking that or whatever. But the entire game is just, like, it's just the Disney movies, it's just Disney fun time, which is fine because the story sucks anyway. But like, there are a few worlds that have original stories, which I appreciate, and that's what all of them should have had. Once again, going back to things that Kingdom Hearts 1 did the best, they all had original stories, and they were all relevant to the plot. In Kingdom Hearts 1, everyone had a clear motivation, and that motivation never wavered the entire game. Sora was looking for his friends, Donald and Goofy were looking for King Mickey. Every time they went into a world, they were there for that single purpose. They may have gotten wrapped up in the politics of the world, but they were always there looking for Riku Kairi and Mickey. You will find that every single world. It was always consistent, always a clear motivation there. That's something the entire rest of the series fucked up, by the way, including Kingdom Hearts 2. I'm not just getting on 3 for that. The entire rest of the series fucked that up and started just making it like Disney worlds. And here's the movie. Kingdom Hearts 2 did that. But one thing that Kingdom Hearts 2 did well that made up for it is you had visits to the world again that did have the plot elements necessary to the overall story, and it had midpoint sections where it would go back to the main story and really focus in on that as opposed to the Disney stuff. Mm-hmm. Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't have anything like that. You have a little bit in the beginning and then all of it at the end. Otherwise, it's just Disney stuff. I mean, like I said, even the new stories, like the Toy Story world and Big Hero 6, those are new stories for those worlds, but they're not relevant at all to the main plot. So it's nice that you're not just seeing the movies again, but it's like, none of this has anything to do with the plot. And yeah, all the story stuff happens at the end. So all the stuff that all these people have been building up to for all these years, oh, we're going to save Aqua, they save Aqua, and then they immediately save Ven, and then they immediately save all these people, and then all the final bosses, right away, and then, yeah, here's the organization, and then you kill them all, and then here's the final bosses, and blah, blah, blah. It all happens in, like, 5 hours. It's pretty fucking ridiculous. And like I said, like, the one thing I was hoping for the story is, like, even though I'm not that into the story, I was hoping it would still feel epic and like, oh, this is a really fun quest to get our friends back, but it doesn't. It completely falls apart. It's literally just a Disney fun time game, which maybe that's for the best. I don't know, because the story's been bad for years anyway. But that was pretty disappointing.
Real quick before we get off of characters, how are some of the voice acting, like specifically in Toy Story?
Yeah, the voice acting is kind of hit and miss. Most of the Disney characters are fine. There are some characters that are a little bit weird. I know Woody and Buzz, people complain about a lot. I didn't think they were that bad, though. Most of the complaints come from the actual Kingdom Hearts characters. Haley Joel Osment as Sora is good for the most part, but whenever he gets excited or raises his voice, he still goes into that weird territory of like Dream Drop Distance where he just sounds weird. Where it's like, oh God, and whenever he's just calm, it's like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds natural, just like 1 and 2 did. And then he starts getting weird. I don't know if his voice is like too deep now or something. So I don't know. He has issues with that though. It's fine for the most part. It's just the script sucks. You know, yeah. It's just generic anime shit. Like, whatever. You know, who cares at this point, really? And I said this to you before, but it's like we're in a generation of games now where things like Red Dead Redemption 2 are coming out. Like, I don't really care about this. This is not very good compared to other stuff you could be playing.
Yeah.
And that's actually another thing you could get on Nomura for. His baby is Kingdom Hearts. Half of the fucking dialogue and characters in Kingdom Hearts, over half, are done by other people. Okay? So if you think it's genius, half of it's Disney. Or more than half, really. 75% of it or whatever. Anyway, we won't shit on Nomura too much. But, getting back to the characters. One thing that was really hyped up about Kingdom Hearts 3 was that, you know, Kairi might not actually be a damsel in distress this time. Hey, she has a Keyblade now. And that's another thing I don't like about the Kingdom Hearts series that happened. I liked in the beginning how Sora was the only one with a Keyblade, and it was a very special thing. Riku got a Keyblade too, and that's okay because he was meant to have the Keyblade originally. Then, everyone had a Keyblade. Now, everyone has one. Axel randomly has a Keyblade. Kairi randomly has a Keyblade. Why do all these people have Keyblades? It's not cool anymore. They went the Dragon Ball route, where Goku was a Super Saiyan. That was cool, because it's a mysterious thing, and it's a legendary thing that gets built up for a long time, and he's a Super Saiyan. He's the only one. And then Vegeta becomes one. And that's cool too, because, Vegeta is like his opposite, and they're two ass-kicking guys. Then Gohan becomes a Super Saiyan, and then this guy from the future comes, and he's a Super Saiyan. And it's like, okay, this is still kind of cool, Gohan went through some shit, and that's what causes people to become Super Saiyans. It's like an emotional moment where you have to be a Saiyan, obviously, and they go, ah! And then their hair turns yellow and everything. But then you go later on in Dragon Ball, and these little kids, Goten and Kid Trunks, they're Super Saiyans, and there's no explanation as to how they're Super Saiyans. They're 5 years old, that they pull down their underwear and look at each other's butts all day. I don't know how they're already Super Saiyans, and it just gets stupid, because it's not special anymore. Mm-hmm. That's how it feels like. Same thing with Kingdom Hearts 3. Anyway, let's ignore that. Let's assume I don't care about the Keyblade thing. You'd think Kairi might be kind of useful, and they kind of build her up in some cutscenes. It's like, yeah, me and Axel, we're doing our Keyblade training, and we're almost done, and I got a new outfit, and here's my Keyblade. No. She gets kidnapped again, and does not kill one Heartless the entire game, and yeah, she gets kidnapped and then gets saved again. So anyone hoping for Kairi to be useful this time should not expect anything, because she's completely useless again. Actually, everyone's useless except for Sora, Donald, and Goofy, honestly. Maybe not Riku. As I said, Disney implementation is at the worst. Kingdom Hearts 1 is still the best at that. You need to have all original worlds, and they all need to be there for a purpose. Don't just go to worlds to show the story of Disney. Oh, yeah, I didn't even mention this. In Frozen World, this won't come as a surprise, they play the entire Let It Go song in sequence, and it's a full pre-rendered cutscene. You get to put down the controller and watch Elsa sing Let It Go. Not surprising. At least it's not the musical world like Atlantica. But yeah, there's a lot of just, okay, I'm literally just watching the movie right now. Anyway, yeah, and there's a little too many cutscenes too. Sometimes it just feels like padding. As I said earlier, the final battles are really weak, and the reason why I don't consider this a spoiler is because if you played, you've played Dream Drop Distance, it hints enough that what's going to happen in the story is that other characters are going to come back, including the old organization, and the old organization members are members of the new organization. Wow, that's a bad story. Yeah, it turns out, like, everyone in the old organization was like, I don't know, some of them were like replicas of themselves. So you killed replica or something. It's like, yeah, no, the story ended at Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, let's just say the story ended at Kingdom Hearts 2. Okay, let's not get into that.
So you have humans, you have nobodies, you have Heartless, and you have replicas.
Yes,
of
there's
people.
replicas. Yes, there was replicas in Chain of Memories, but it was only
Four
done,
people.
It was only
for
done
the
with
price
one
of
character.
one.
Yeah. No, seriously, with some of these characters, this is how it works in Kingdom Hearts. Once you die, you have a Heartless and a Nobody. If you kill the Heartless and the Nobody, they become a real person again. So some of these characters, you killed the Heartless, killed the Nobody in Kingdom Hearts, they become a human again, and then they purposely kill themselves to become a Nobody again to join to rejoin the organization. There's seriously some of these characters that did that.
What the
in the game?
Heck? Like, I understand it's funny to like shit on Kingdom Hearts for how convoluted it is, but like, I don't understand a word you just said.
I know. No, it's fine, because I hardly even understand it, and I know the story. But like I said, most of the final bosses are just bosses you already fought in Kingdom Hearts 2. It's just the organization again, except this time the fights kind of suck because it's like they didn't know how to make them hard, so they fight 3 organization members at once, which is really annoying. But what you can do is just let the AI just fucking own them, and you can. The arena's so big, and you have glide at that point that you can just fly up into the sky and go in a circle and just let them kill them. If you can single one out, you can usually just combo them to death. But it's like, that's lame. I'm already pissed that we're fighting the same bosses that Kingdom Hearts 2 had for that finale.
Are they like the same moves and everything?
Yeah, it's the same moves. It's just like, I mean, I hated bringing back the characters. It's like they're not doing anything new with them. That's why it starts to feel just shit. The story is just not good anymore. And like I said, or I don't think I said this yet, but it feels like the story and these games don't have a whole lot new to offer anymore. It feels like it already hit a creative peak with the first two. I mean, like I said, all these characters, you brought them all back, and it's like you have to let these characters go. You have to let them die. It's just going to be the same shit over and over again. And I was looking forward to maybe Kingdom Hearts 4 having a real big reboot, like almost no ties to the originals too much, and it just seems like it's going to have more ties. Whatever. Okay, I'm rambling a lot now. I'm trying to finish this. We're almost done with the list. The actual final battles, like against Xehanort and stuff, those are pretty fun. But there's one where it's like you're fighting all 13 members of the organization at once, which isn't too bad because it's like they do it in such a way that there's only like one or two of them that's actually being aggressive towards you at once, and some of them, most of the time, it's only like two or three of them on the screen. It's hard to describe, but it's not really a bad fight. It's not really that annoying. The thing that's annoying about it is that there's a bunch of buildings everywhere and different levels of platforms and buildings crammed together. And it's like, you do not do boss fights in environments like this. What are you thinking? That's why it feels like this should have been a world, not a battle arena. A battle arena should be mostly flat, so it's not annoying to navigate and fight enemies in. So that battle took me a long time because the arena was so fucked up. It's a pretty good battle for the most part, but it's a little stupid. That was annoying. There's one where you're floating in the air, which was okay. It goes on for way too long now. Then there's one where you're swimming in water, and there's water combat, which is kind of annoying. Once again, the final boss is pretty fun, but there's one desperation phase, which is like really gimmicky and annoying. Oh my god, you know what else I forgot to mention about the combat? Summons, or links, those are extremely overpowered. Simba, that's the only one I use the entire game, because Simba owns ass, okay? You have like almost full iframes, he's hopping around the stage, taking off huge chunks of health. There was one point with that organization boss fight, where you're fighting all 13 members, and keep in mind that is one health bar, which is a good thing. There was one point where like I went through literally 4 health bars in a row just by doing the finisher with Simba. It's
Jeez.
like, oh my god, on the hardest difficulty, not grinding levels. Anyway, yeah. The point is, there's way too many options, and they're all like overpowered. Yeah, so the final battles are kind of weak, and in no way does this live up to the finale of Kingdom Hearts 2, where like Sora, Riku, and the gang are like slicing buildings in half and running on them and flying through the sky to beat Xemnas, and Sora and Riku have their bro moment at the end where it's just them versus the world. And they're gonna kill Xemnas. They have the badass Keyblade through the heart thing. It's just great, and then they have a great moment on the beach, and they go back to Destiny Islands and feel good. Love it. That is still one of my favorite conclusions to a game. The entire last world of Kingdom Hearts 2 is awesome. It's awesome design-wise. There's a bunch of badass boss fights they've been building up to the entire game. Just exciting stuff. Each fight is unique and different. All the organization members are unique and different. Just impeccable stuff. Kingdom Hearts 1 kind of had a weird final world, but it had Ansem, Billy Zane voicing Ansem. That's all I need to say. It was cool as shit. Some of the best quotes in the series come from the final battle of Kingdom Hearts 1. And considering this is supposed to wrap up the series, or wrap up this saga, as it's called, it does not live up to the hype whatsoever. Whether it's the repeated boss fights from a game that was released 13 years ago, not even just that game. You still have Ansem, which was released in Kingdom Hearts 1, and Riku Replica, which is basically just Riku, which was also in Kingdom Hearts 1. Yada yada yada. Yeah, the finale is pretty weak. Like I said, all the story is just Disney fun time. Then you get to the main story at the end. That's pretty lame. I've already talked about how the post game is dumb, not much to do, and there's one secret boss which isn't too hard, especially compared to Terra from Kingdom Hearts 2, which was hard as shite. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3, and I would give it like a 7 out of 10. It is worth playing, but it does have quite a lot of issues. And I'm glad that the fan base at least seems to acknowledge some of these. I've heard, like, obviously a few people say, like, the game is like a masterpiece. It's like, you don't even know what that word means. Okay, stop using it, please. It's not a masterpiece. It's not as good as Kingdom Hearts 2. It's better than Kingdom Hearts 1 in terms of combat. But like I said, many things Kingdom Hearts 1 does better than 2 or 3. I think if Kingdom Hearts 1 had the combat of 2, it would definitely be the best Kingdom Hearts game. But such is life. That is not the case. If you want my tip, play Kingdom Hearts 1, play or watch Chain of Memories, play Kingdom Hearts 2, and that's it. That's where it ends. That's where the story should have ended. That's before the story gets super stupid. And it's just great stuff. And Kingdom Hearts 2 had a better finale than Kingdom Hearts 3. Not even just in terms of fights and everything. The ending was great. Kingdom Hearts 3 ends on a cliffhanger. Can you believe that?
Oh my god.
It
dude.
ends on a cliffhanger.
You've got to be kidding me.
No. And by the
Was
way,
it the end of a saga? If it
I
ends
know.
on a fucking cliffhanger?
and by the way, you know what else? Okay, I already told you.
This isn't some David Lynch Twin Peaks
I
shit.
know.
Like, this is like the end of a fucking 10-game saga.
Yes, and like I said, they already copied the bosses of Kingdom Hearts 2 for the most part. They even copied the ending of Kingdom Hearts 2, where they're all on Destiny Islands and having a happy fun time. Then there's a huge cliffhanger. And then there's a stupid secret movie. And, yeah, the epilogue, I sort of like the epilogue, I guess. There's technically like 2 secret movies, I guess. One is the epilogue, one is the actual secret movie. The epilogue was okay. I'm still waiting for the Master of Masters to come back into the scene. He was in 0.2, and he was one of the only Kingdom Hearts characters, the new ones, that I actually thought was fucking hilarious. And I want him to be the main villain of the next saga. I want him to be the main character. Even though he's the villain, he should be the main character because he was so much more likable than like most of the other cast. He was excellent, but unfortunately, all the other apprentices of him are boring as shit, and they were all in the secret ending and not him. So that was disappointing. So I guess for Kingdom Hearts 4, we're almost done. I promise. Next game that should come out in the franchise is Kingdom Hearts 4. For the consoles. I don't want any spin-off shit. Just keep it numbered. I don't want spin-off crap. I'm not playing your spin-off shit. I only want the numbered ones.
How about a board game variation, though?
That's fine, whatever. If it's not canon, I don't have to play it. Of course, knowing no more, you have to play the fucking board game to know, like, important story details. Not that it's worth knowing anyway.
How about a DVD game that you have to use a TV remote to play?
Yeah, how about a DVD game that you have to figure out a way to use a VHS to play it? That's how No More would do it.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I think that's most of what I had to say. It is enjoyable. If you like Kingdom Hearts, I think you'll like the game. I would recommend to Nick to play it. It's still fun. If you like Disney, you'll have fun with it. It's a pretty game. It just has issues, and I think there are things they could iron out. Adding in a critical mode would be one thing. Having a better post-game would be another. Basically, just focus on improving the gameplay, because you're not improving that story. Or the final bosses or anything. You're not going to improve the story. The final bosses are set in stone. Is what it is.
Would you say an improvement to the story would be removing all the cutscenes in the game?
Well, the cutscenes are pretty, so that's one thing. Just play, like, good music over them.
In terms of the context of those cutscenes.
Yeah. The story is not good. And see, like I said, like a lot of the story going into the next saga is already tied to stuff that that has happened in this saga, including like the Unchained Key and stuff like that. So it's not like this is really starting new again with a pretty much brand new slate. It's still just continuing on from a different story thread. Oh, another thing I don't like, they try to add depth to villains right when they die. That doesn't work. You can't just have, I'm Mr. Evil twirling my mustache Xehanort over here, then he's dying over here, and then he's like, Shara, you did a good job, I admit defeat, and The light is a good thing, and it's like, no, this does not work at all. You were Mr. Evil guy the entire time. You can't just drop that on me at the end here. It doesn't work. They do that with several organization members as well, and that doesn't work either. One thing I will say, and I was happy to see her come back, my favorite character, Larxene, she came back. That was the only one I wanted to see come back, and a lot of people hate Larxene. Larxene is the best because she shits on everyone else, and she's a mean bitch, and I love her. Because everyone else in the character, everyone else is so happy, fun time, and she just hates everyone, and she's fucking hilarious, and she was hilarious in this game as well. So thank you for bringing back Larxene. I want the next game to be Larxene and the Master of Masters going on a quest together. That would be excellent.
I don't think there exists a character name more Kingdom Hearts than Master of Masters.
I know. As stupid as his name is, I do like the character. And he was great too, because he took the piss out of all these characters. Like, all these generic masters are talking to him, and they're all so serious, and then he's just like, why are you being so serious? Like, I was just joking, calm down, dude. And it was almost like Deadpool or something, like stepped into the world of Kingdom Hearts, and he was pretending to be a master. Yeah, he was great. But yeah, happy to see Larxene come back. Anyone who doesn't like Larxene can bite my dick. Because she's the best character in the entire franchise, as far as I'm concerned. So,
is that the end of Kingdom Hearts 3?
I think that is the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. It's a 7 out of 10 right now. In the future, we'll talk about it more. Oh yeah, Willa Holland as Aqua, she's still not good. She's not a good voice actress. She might be a good actress, but as a voice actress, she just doesn't have it. I don't know. All of her line deliveries are so wooden, just like they were back in Birth by Sleep. Don't know what to say. Still don't like Aqua, mainly because of the voice actress. Can't get it right. So yeah, that's about it. Kingdom Hearts 3, 7 out of 10. Nothing I could do about it. The only other thing I wanted to say, not about Kingdom Hearts, is the Tyrant story. The Mr. X story. So, going back to Resident Evil, a better game, there is a scenario called The Fourth Survivor, where you play as Hunk, and he is an Umbrella operative who is, as the name implies, the fourth survivor. Technically the fifth. There's more than 4 survivors, but we won't get nerdy about it. He's the fourth survivor, and for those of you who don't know, it is a very, very difficult mode where they basically throw everything at you, and it doesn't have a time limit on it, but the idea is to try and get through it as fast as you can. Despite the fact that you have to dodge all these insurmountable enemies, and there's just a shit ton of zombies everywhere, a shit ton of dogs everywhere. Everything they have in the game is present in this mode, and eventually Mr. X starts chasing you through the hallways to the end of the mode, and you basically have to start in the sewers, and you go all the way back through the sewers, all the way through the police department, out through the front gates. So it's a very long run. But anyway, near the end, I was starting to run out of, supplies. I was literally right at the end. I just needed to get past one group of zombies, up the stairs, turn around, there's the gate. And Mr. X was chasing me, and I had, no ammo. I had no grenades to shove into people's mouths. So I was getting bit, and I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to have to do this over again. And Mr. X was right on my tail. And right at the end, when there was, 3 zombies in front of me, he grabbed me. I thought, oh, that's the end. And he threw me. And he threw me over the zombies. And I was surprisingly still alive because I had, a health upgrade on. Or, a mixed herb that gave me stronger defenses. Mm-hmm. So he threw me over the zombies, and I got up and limped up the stairs and won.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was so funny. That's a fun mode. It's hard, though. But I think that's it. So we wanted to talk about other things, but I wanted to really get my thoughts out there on Kingdom Hearts 3. I was very eager to do that.
Yeah, this turned into more of a review podcast, but I think that's fine because It was all stuff that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I don't really think I missed anything on Kingdom Hearts 3. Well, the only other thing I would say is just the same complaint I had where it feels like too much of it is borrowing from 1 and 2. The music is also borrowed from 1 and 2. A lot of people say the soundtrack's good, and it is. It's just that a lot of the soundtracks are old. They're all from 1 and 2, and it's still disappointing to me because 1 was filled with all this great original music, not counting like the Disney remixes. Kingdom Hearts 2 comes along. A lot of great original music. Then from that point on in the series, there's less and less original stuff and just reusing tracks from Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Same thing with 3. So 1 and 2 are the best. You'll never convince me otherwise. That's it. Let's end it.
All right. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can find our other podcasts here on YouTube. And yeah, I think that's about it. Subscribe to Grading Pixels. You can follow us on Twitter at PixelsGradient. I've been starting to put that in the video descriptions now. Trying to post some more stuff on there. But yeah.
And make sure you buy Control by Remedy when that comes out.
Yes. All right. See
Thank
you guys
Sam.
later.
Bye-bye.